Well, when we start talking about the Ten Commandments, and again, it's a good representative of when we say the law as a whole.
Yeah.
Now, how are they important? Here's how they're important. Here's what I believe. And, you know, when I was a kid, we'd go to VBS, Vacation Bible School. And I remember one year they gave us this piece of plywood that was cut out in the shape of a book. And they gave us wood burners to burn the Ten Commandments into it. Now, why they gave a bunch of second graders wood burners, hot needles, I'll never understand, but they did. So we would burn the Ten Commandments into the wood. And here's how I remember them reading, because we use King James then, because that's about all we had. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not kill. In all of these, thou shalt nots. Now, the way that was interpreted by me was, you better not. Thou shalt meant you better not. You better not kill. You better not. Don't you do that. Hey, don't you do that. But now it's different. Now I see it as this. I believe that those commandments were a promise. They were a prophetic declaration of what the new covenant people would look like. So instead of God saying, you better not kill, I believe here's what he's saying. Thou shalt not. In other words, you will not. With my spirit in you, learning how to live and walk in godliness and purity, you know what? You're not. When you love your wife, you're not going to commit adultery. When you really love people, you're not going to steal from them. You're not going to lie. You're not going to have other gods before me. When you love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength to love your neighbor as yourself, you're not going to have other gods before me. That's why Jesus says, see, when he was confronted about the commandments, and the Pharisees and the lawyers, they came to him, they said, okay, you know so much about all this, what's the greatest commandment? And Jesus, who was trying to get them away from commandments, basically said this. He said, okay, you want a commandment so bad? You guys really want one? I'll give you a commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And then he said something amazing. He said, because on these two hang all the law and the prophets. And that pretty much covered the whole Old Testament. So he said, if you can do those two things, if you will love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, then you have satisfied, you have just obeyed every law that there is. They're all covered. So when you go to Deuteronomy and you read about what to do when your bull gores your neighbor's servant, if your bull gores your neighbor's servant and he lives, then you owe him a bull and a gallon of milk, or whatever it is. If he dies, you owe him this. All these things. If you are loving your neighbor as yourself, you're not even going to have to know what the law says to do, because you're going to do what is necessary to love him. So it really is that simple. So what that means is we don't have to have a legalistic system that tells us, do this, don't do that. If you do this, you're wrong, and you got to make amends. I'm telling you, it's just love the Lord your God. If you love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, you're not going to have any other gods before him. You're just not going to have any idols if you're loving him with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And so here's what we do with that. Well, boy, that's where I fail then, because I don't love him with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength. And we go back to this place of guilt and shame. I just need to work harder at loving God. I need to work harder. No, it's never about working harder. See, Jesus did not set us free from the law that we couldn't perform just to give us another law that we couldn't perform.